So, Chapter 6, the recommendations and implications of this research. So, the sum total of this is that practitioner inquiry, as enacted, is only really effective for meeting the requirements of the standard rather than the needs of the NQTs. So, what are the recommendations and the implications of these? So, we're talking about one subsection of the General Teaching Council standards has resulted in the overemphasis on practitioner inquiry as a project, despite being positioned as a stance. What we need is a shift in understanding and a promotion from inquiry as project to inquiry and stance for the NQTs as it is enacted. We need the implication then is the teaching professionals at all levels need to consider how inquiry is positioned and talked about with regards to the NQTs. We need a bottom-up approach to this. As I said, how much research is there when we actually ask the NQTs about what they thought about the practitioner inquiry, and the answer is there's hardly any out there. So repositioning this inquiry back to SANS. So we actually then have to look at the how and the why the inquiry is being undertaken. And what about if we were to create some options here? To do it as a group, to collaborate with colleagues, to do it individually. What if we were to give some ownership back to this? Allow greater freedom for the NQTs to decide. Is that such a bad thing? That creative freedom, but yes, it could be a bad thing because it's harder to prove that they've done practitioner against the standard if we haven't just got a nice wee project to hand at the back of it. What if we were to remove this pass-fail element against the standards for the NQTs? Because it's turning the NQTs against inquiry, which is totally against what we're trying to do. It's eroding the value of this, which is not so great. Practitioner inquiry was originally collegiate in nature. It was a learning journey, except again that we've sort of lost this amongst the collegiate nature of this to make it an individual project. We're not really supporting the social identity which was so important to these NQTs. But if we'd made it collegiate, or at least a collegiate option, with schools that are already doing practitioner inquiry or professional inquiries, there's groups of staff that the NQT had the freedom to join in with that, would that also help with relationships with the social identity? The point of practitioner inquiry as stance is about being reflexive, to seek out and understand the connections and with their own learning throughout the year. It should be this ongoing process, but we have effectively stopped this by the way that we are enacting it. And then we also have to come down to what actually has happened at the university. Remember back when I said about this, that actually the first thought of many of our NQTs was, oh no, when they heard that they were to do practitioner inquiry. So do we need to actually look at then decoupling the language that practitioner inquiry to them is now symptomatic of a large academic project? It has become caught up in this language of academia. So why is it at the university that we're calling it our dissertations practitioner and professional inquiry? And who has dictated to us that at the university that this is what it needs to be called, and why? And what are the implications of that? Now, I could get into the future orientation of policy, but that's not the point here. But rather, again, to suggest what we actually need to be having these conversations about, and have this wider discussion. And just take that step back and just have a little bit of a review about this as a result of the research. If we go back just to finalise basically on the grounded theory of this, grounded theory is judged basically, is it credible, is it relevant, and does it have resonance? And I would say that yes, the study does have all of those things. It's credible, it's the NQT's voice, albeit from one local authority. But it's a starting point for these discussions, things that we may not necessarily have considered. It is relevant because this is a big thing in Scotland today and it's getting bigger. and more local authorities doing it, more and more NQTs, more and more universities. So we really need to be actually having a look at, okay, this is relevant, this research, so where now? And does it have resonance? Well, I think we can just, we can accept that it does, because this actually affects us all in Scotland that are involved in education, whether it's in the schools, whether it's NQT, student teachers, those in higher education, school leaders, the General Teaching Council and Education Scotland. Thank you.